Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, November 15th, 2024. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Mr. Jonah Booker in just a moment. JBook and I are going to give our predictions for tomorrow's Ohio State-Northwestern game at Wrigley. We're going to get into a bunch of other stuff. We're going to tackle the noon game debate. What does JBook think about it? We'll get into that. What do the players think about it? Playing at Wrigley, are we concerned about safety issues? Is there too much being made of that? We'll take some of your questions and much more. Today's show is sponsored by our friends at Mando. I'll let you guys know about Mando. I've been telling you guys about Mando a lot. You guys know I love Mando. And today's show is sponsored by Mando Whole Body Deodorant. We have a great deal for you guys so you can check it out yourself. Mando was developed by a doctor and gives you 72-hour odor control. If you've been using the same deodorant for several years, like I was until I discovered Mando, it might be time for you to try something new and better. That's where Mando comes in. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers or to secure some last-minute stocking stuffers. It comes with the solid stick deodorant. It comes with the cream tube deodorant. That's what this is. 2 free products of your choice and free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code Bucknuts at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Don't let BO keep you on the bench. Smell better with Mando. Love it. All right. Always great seeing JBook on a Friday. Hello, sir.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday indeed. All right. Let's cut to the chase. Buckeyes favored by, what are they favored by? 28.5? Yeah, favored by 28.5 tomorrow at Wrigley. All right, I'm going to pop you. As you're giving your final score prediction, I will put mine on the screen for the good people.
All right. I have it Ohio State 38, Northwestern 3. I think this is going to be one of those games where the under potentially hits because, oh, look at that, 38-6 right there.
Boom. Yep.
Right there. I think they just want to get out of here healthy, Dave, with this makeshift field. Get out of here with a win. They plan to rotate a lot of players again, like you saw against Purdue, which is I think is a great thing. So get in there, get the win, get out of there healthy, get ready for a top 5 matchup at home against Indiana. That's crazy. We're right there on the money, Dave.
That looks like one of our score predictions right there. Like almost identical. Love it.
Yeah.
I like yours better.
So I think the over-under is 45.5, I believe. So 45.5.
43.5. Or is it 45? I thought it was 43.5.
Oh, you might be right. It might be 43.5. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. We're both right around there. All right. Well, that's awesome. I love that we do that. We're always pretty, even when we're not like this close, we're never like that far away. And often it's crazy how close we are. As soon as I heard you say 38, I'm like, yes. Then I was hoping you'd say 6, but 3's close enough.
Yeah, I was going back and forth. At first, I was like, 45. Then I was like, I can easily see another situation where Jeremiah Smith and Will Howard, those guys are pulled out by midway through the third quarter, and they're just trying to get out of there.
Yeah, here's the thing about Northwestern. Like, I think people are going to look at the fact that Purdue took them to overtime. They barely beat Purdue. Like, okay, they're basically like Purdue. They're better than Purdue, and they'll try and muddy this game up. They're a scrappy team. They're a better defense than Purdue. I mean, Maryland's not good. I get that, but this Northwestern team beat Maryland by like 27 points. So I think they're going to try and muddy it up. I just hope Ohio State's able to go out there and just dominate them, and we're able to see the starters rest and get those young guys in there, much like we said last week.
Yeah, and one thing I really like about what Ryan Day has been saying, Dave, is Day said they're treating every game, every week like this is the playoffs right now. So they're already in that playoff mentality, which is great because you got Indiana, you got Michigan coming up, and you have to win those games in order to get to Indianapolis to play Oregon. So treating each game like it's its own playoff week, I think that really gets them into the mindset of where they need to be to finish strong.
All right, noon games. They're going to finish the season with 6 straight noon games. Tomorrow's not big noon kickoff. It's on Big Ten Network. It's actually 11 a.m. local, but noon Eastern, 6 straight times. I guess good news out there, fans. If you don't like these, every postseason game will be a primetime game. So you got that going for you. I guess I shouldn't say that. I mean, I guess there could be an afternoon game one of the times, but they'll pretty much be primetime games. Where are you at on this debate?
I hate noon games. As a fan, as a player, when I played, we liked the noon game. Here's the reason why: you get to party after the game later on that night. So when you're a player and you want to go out on the town and go have some fun, the noon games is great because you get it over with. But here's my biggest complaint, Dave. I have 2 complaints when it comes to noon and the big noon. Everybody looks at big noon and says, okay, why are you consistently riding the backs of Ohio State? Here's the other thing people don't get. They can easily take big noon to the Big 12, Dave. They own the rights to all of the Big 12. So not only are the Buckeyes carrying the load when it comes to ratings for big noon, they're carrying it for the Big 10 and they're carrying it for the Big 12. There's been the Big 12, top to bottom, they're a pretty deep conference. I mean, you got about 5 to 6 different teams that has a shot to win the go play for the Big 12 championship, which will earn a berth into the playoffs. Colorado, they're going to Colorado this week. I can't remember the last time they were actually at a big noon, probably, beginning of the season down in the Big 12. The other issue is it makes it incredibly hard for recruiting. I mean, the reports are coming out right now that 5-star quarterback Jared Curtis probably won't be able to make the Indiana game. He really wants to get to Ohio State. His football team will be in the playoffs on a Friday night. I've had fans go and track flights from Tennessee, the area where he comes from, up to Columbus. He essentially will have one choice. It's either get in the car and drive overnight after his playoff football game to get there, or I think there's like one flight with a connection that he will have to hop onto first thing in the morning. He will land probably 10:45, 11 o'clock. That's if the flight's on time, and have to scurry over to the shoe for a noon kickoff. So that right there is a prime example of how it hurts the Buckeyes to have that many noon games. I will say this also, Dave. Fox has a vested interest in making sure Ohio State is, clicking on all cylinders, getting the big boys when it comes to recruiting. So they're essentially hurting their own pockets. Now, don't get me wrong, Ohio State's never going to suffer in recruiting, but when you're in a tight battle with a quarterback like Jared Curtis, who could flip back to Georgia, who's interested in Oregon, taking all of these other visits, he wants to get into the shoe to see your top big dog play, and he can't do that. That right there, to me, is a problem. I don't mind noon games per se. Give me a Northwestern versus Ohio State versus noon, but when it comes to these big matchups, we got to see some type of versatility. Like a 3:30 kickoff would be perfect day for this game. You start in the daytime as the second half is starting to kick off. You got the sunset. It would be nighttime, about time the fourth quarter starts with the lights on. That right there is perfect for me.
Yeah, Jermaine on Facebook saying, is Jared Curtis visiting for Indiana? He might be a little behind the feed. Yeah, JBook just touched on that. It's touch and go because of the noon kickoff situation, as JBook just articulated. So you can listen to what JBook says about that if you're running a little behind, Jermaine. But yeah, man, I mean, what do you make? You touched on this. Like you were a college football player at Ohio University. So like, yeah, players like it. Fans don't want to hear that though. I've heard fans say, okay, that's well and good. I like Will Howard. Will Howard came out and said, for those that didn't hear, he likes noon kickoffs. He likes to get up, have the routine, get up and get going. If he's sitting in the hotel all day waiting for even a 3:30 kicker, especially a night game, he's all antsy. And I've heard fans say this, like, okay, that's well and good, but like, kick us, the fans, something. Like we deserve it. And I understand that. Like if not for the fans, none of this exists. So
exactly right.
I can be selfish and say I like noon games because I get to get done working and still see the night games and everything. But I see what the fans are saying for sure. And if it hurts recruiting, like you were talking about with Curtis, I mean, and it's not, it's not a coincidence that Urban Meyer would always say he wants a lot of night games because he knew it helped with recruiting. Yeah.
Well, when Urban first got here, that was a big thing. Remember that day when Urban first touched down in Columbus? He was looking around coming from the SEC. It's like, why are we playing so many noon games? Get us some night games. And as soon as he made that request, what did you see? A bunch of night games followed, or midday kickoffs. For the players, you get up, you eat breakfast, you have a quick meeting, position meeting, or offense defensive meeting. You kind of do your little routine, go over to the skull session, head over to the stadium, and then you go kick off, and then you're done. You get your pizza after the game or your chicken dinner after the game. So about 4:00, essentially 4:00, you're out of there. At that point, you got the whole night to go do what you want. And, we're all adults here. After 4:00, 5:00, you have your dinner. Your parents and stuff are usually in town. They know what the deal is. You hang out with them for a couple hours. 8, 9 o'clock, call your boys up. Where's the party at? Where's the house party at? Mm-hmm. And then you're well on your way. You're having, good vibrations after that. You're in the local establishment where everybody looks out for the players or something like that. Or you go to another sports house where there's a house party going on, and you have your good times and hang out with your boys and go party. The next morning you get up, go back over to the facility or something for some treatment if you're still sore from the game, and watch some film. But that's why I was like, I understand where the guys, the players are coming from. Like you enjoy noon gaming because you get it out the way. But as far as the fans, man, like it sucks, Dave. Like I'm willing to bet money that Fox is going to put that Texas game at noon next year to kick off the season.
If they stay with their strategy, they absolutely will. And it's a chicken versus the egg conversation. Like Fox is like, well, look at the ratings; they're great. Right. Ohio State fans are like, it doesn't matter. They're great because it's Ohio State. You put them at 3:30, you're saying the ratings would be worse? Like,
right. So
no, that'd be better, right?
That's my thing. Like you can put Ohio State on at 1:00 in the morning on a Wednesday. They're going to get you 7 million.
Right.
It's not something, this big brain theory that, because we created the noon window that we're getting ratings. Like, no, you're riding the backs off of Ohio State. That's why I was telling Joe Klatt, like, hey, in what universe is it fair that Ohio State gets 5 out of the last 6 big noon games and they're not getting a pay bump? I mean, Purdue and Northwestern are getting the same amount of money as Ohio State when the Buckeyes are being asked to carry the load for ratings for 2 conferences, the Big 10 and the Big 12. They have the option to go to the Big 12 to do big noon as well. But you're tasking the Buckeyes out of 18 teams in the Big 10. There's probably 18 with the expansion of the Big 12, 18 to 20 teams. So, almost 40 teams. You're asking the Buckeyes to carry the load for your ratings, but they're not getting a bigger piece of the pie. That's why I hope Ross Bjork, I mean, they probably can't do a whole lot, but he has to go to the Big 10 office. Like, come on, man, throw us a bone. Give us at least one veto power a year to say, hey, we don't want this game to be at noon. We want this to either be a prime time or a 3:30 kickoff, which if I was Ohio State, I would push hard for that and use my veto power that first week next year against Texas. Can you imagine what the shoe would be like and what the recruiting bonanza would be like next year if you kick off the first game of the season against Texas with Arch Manning getting his first official, hey, this is your ball club at Texas? I mean, that's going to be prime time, big boy type of game that you can have the light show at the shoe and just have an incredible environment. But Fox, they're going to throw it at noon, Dave. I got a feeling they're going to throw that game at noon, just like they did Texas at Michigan this year.
This is socialism at its finest. I'm not joking. Karl Marx would love this, the way they set up the Big Ten TV deal, because you're right. Ohio State's carrying the load. Everybody gets the same cut. It doesn't make any sense at all. Doesn't make any sense. And Ohio State needs to throw their weight around. Yeah. Ross Bjork inherited this. It's not his fault, but he needs to be the one that, and you're right, he's going to be limited in what he can do, but they need to throw their weight around and say, no. If we're all getting the same amount of money, we're not going to be the ones, carrying the load here. So, yeah,
like Todd said over here in the comments, the nightmare that was Kevin Warren continues to haunt us. Like that is one of the huge mistakes that Kevin Warren made signing that deal. He should have put in some type of cap clause that says, hey, a team can't play X amount of games on Big Noon per year. Like cap it at, 3, maybe 4 at the most. I mean, that's what the SEC had going on with their whole CBS deal, because the SEC won a primetime games. You remember, I think it was a couple years ago, Dave, Georgia and CBS wanted Georgia and Notre Dame. And they put that game on there. It was an absolute ratings bonanza. And I think later on during the year, there was another huge Georgia game, and CBS wanted it. Sorry, can't do it. You've hit your cap of Georgia games. So Georgia got the benefit of going over to prime time because CBS couldn't put them on 3:30. Like, think about that. The SEC was crying so much about having to play at 3:30 that they put a cap on it. And here we are in the Big Ten. We're just trying to have a fair split of Big Noon games. I mean,
Go ahead.
And what did Joe Klatt say on that Twitter? It's like, oh, the Big Ten, all of the member institutions signed this deal. Correct. All the members signed this deal. That doesn't mean this is Ohio Big Noon presented to you by Ohio State football. Like, everybody else needs to be partaking in this Big Noon window, not just Ohio State.
Amen. All right. A lot of people want us to get to this. We'll address this. This came out yesterday. At the first, I thought it was a joke. This is OSU 27. Why is the 1870 Society running an NIL fundraiser promoting the scumbag cheaters NIL? For those who didn't see it, the 1870 Society, they're doing, is it for charity, or is that anything for charity?
They're trying to raise money for both programs, NIL.
Yeah, but there's no charity though. It's just
a string
NIL
attached with some form of charity.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I don't get it, Dave. It makes zero sense.
It's charity, but just Ohio State though.
Yeah.
Raise money for Ohio State's NIL and do some charity on top of that. Why are you Michigan involved in this?
It's very tone deaf. Whoever signed off on this, 2 thumbs down. You cannot have anything ever. The day that reports come out that Michigan's trying to offer $10.5 million to obtain a quarterback that's 25 minutes from their campus, Ohio State's NIL, who's affiliated to the school, comes out and runs a promotion to joint venture with NIL funds, slush funds that's going to go to both Ohio State and Michigan. Like, absolutely crazy. Like, that's a weird thought. Like, you cannot have any affiliation with them. I mean, they cheated. I mean, they've called, they've won the last 3 games. There's nothing in my body that says, hey, I want to help them any way, shape, or form. If you want to run a charity, great. I'll donate to the charity that you guys are helping at if it's directly involved of Ohio State. But there's no way that I'm giving any of my hard-earned money to the 1870 when it's being tied to a joint venture with Michigan. Just absolutely bananas that they would even think that this is a good idea, especially knowing how hostile that the Ohio State fan base are when it comes to dealing with anything Michigan.
I seriously thought it was something from The Onion when I first saw it. But then I saw people getting legit mad, although that's not always a telltale sign. People can get legit mad and it's still fake. I'm like, this has to be fake. It took me like a while to be like, wait a minute, this is actually real? Like, jeez. Oh, well, just come out and apologize and, walk it back. I mean, that's all you can do at this point. Don't just stay with it because
they kept it up.
I can't believe it's still up. I saw our buddy Zeke say that. Like, I can't believe he put it out there publicly. I can't believe this is still up.
Yeah. Like, I really wanted to, have the little meme of the character where he has money in the hand and it says, delete this. like I can't believe you guys still have this up. It's embarrassing that you're trying to help raise money for Michigan. Like, what in the world is going on here? Like, you can't do anything with them affiliated to say, hey, money's going to go to Ohio State and Michigan. Like, you create, like, so what? If Ohio State donates $100, $50 are going to go to Michigan, $50 are going to go to 1870. Like, what is that? Like, I don't get it.
All right, moving right along. Todd over there in France. Salute Bucknutters. Would love to get your thoughts on CJ's comments as far as CJ Hicks, as far as like coming off the edge. There was a little impromptu interview. I don't think Jerry Emig liked the fact that got out there. One of my colleagues on the beat threw that out there. Hey, my colleague on the beat was just doing his job, works for another outlet. Got CJ saying they moved me to bleeping edge. What your thoughts on that whole situation?
Interesting. I will say this: go and make plays, kid. Go and make plays. If you're out there and we turn on the game and CJ Hicks is out there knocking people's heads off and he's flying around with his hair on fire and he wants to go play edge, by all means voice your frustration to the media. But I will say this: if I were the coaches, CJ Hicks would have been in Larry Johnson's room first thing Monday morning. If he knows in his heart, he knows in his mind that he wants to be an edge rusher and he's not an official linebacker, then go ahead and get the transition started so that you can start developing his game. He's not going to play over the top 4 defensive ends right now in the current base set. But Ryan Day saying that they're going to continue to build off the jack package that they showed a little bit against Purdue, and he's going to be in the mix with that with Mitchell Melton. So go ahead and start that transition, Dave. I mean, if he's saying in his heart and he knows in his mind his best fit is to be on the edge, getting after the quarterback, you got to start that transition right now to develop his game.
Playing at Wrigley, there's been some people, including some of my colleagues that on the beat, say this is not a good idea. You're putting the players unnecessarily at risk here. The walls are right there. They're brick walls. Yeah, they're going to be padded, but we've seen baseball players run into padded walls and, break their face many times. These guys won't be breaking their face. They'll have helmets on, but we don't need anybody breaking bones. I tend to think it's much ado about nothing, but what's your take on it?
I think it's going to be a cool setting, Dave. I think it's going to be really cool to see it. I do have some concerns about that end zone. I saw the pictures, and pretty much you got a chance of one of the players to be sitting in the laps of some fans that are sitting front row there because it's dangerously close to the back of the end zone there. That is a concern. Just get out of I just want them to please just get out of there healthy, no issues. The last thing that you want is a national story that says X player got hurt because of field conditions in Wrigley. I believe Northwestern or somebody may have had a game there several years ago. Was that Iowa, Wisconsin? Somebody
Iowa, Northwestern, where it got all torn up.
Yeah, and the field was a mess. Like the
infield
you consistently had to have grounds crew come running out there because the turf was popping up. And I think it's hilarious that Ryan Day said they're not going to go. They can't go to the locker room at halftime. They have to go huddle up in the bullpen.
I guess you can go technically if you have to go, but it's way far away. Like you might run out of. You might not make it back in time for the second half if you go to all the way to the locker room.
I had some people, say that to me like, hey, just joking. I'll bring the orange slices for the guys. Why they go take a knee, and I'll bring the Powerade and orange slices since they're just going to huddle up in the bullpen. But isn't that crazy? Like if you zoom in on the game, you just see the players sitting on their helmets in the bullpen. Like I don't know what type of visualization that's going to be for the Big Ten. Like, hey, you got your number 2 team in the country who's vying for a playoff spot, huddled up in the bullpen at halftime because they can't make it all the way to the locker room. And I don't know if a baseball clubhouse are going to be able to hold 100 plus personnel with
that's the thing, man.
Pads and stuff.
And even like a modern, let's say a new park, let's say like Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, or even something newer than that, with a modern locker room, it still would be cramped in there.
Yeah.
Wrigley Field, dude. Like, I can't imagine the visiting clubhouse at Wrigley is very vast. I mean, everything in there is cramped. I mean, I love it. It's a great place. You know, if you like baseball, it's just the history there. I've enjoyed all my trips to Wrigley, but man, I can't imagine the locker room is very big. This is going to be crazy.
Hey, they're going to zoom in at halftime, see Will Howard sitting on top of his helmet.
In that Bartman seat, man. If you want to give him orange slices, get that Bartman seat. You'll be right there. You can just throw him orange slices.
They're going to show Will Howard looking at his tablet, eating orange slices and apple slices at halftime. It's kind of funny, man.
All right. We'll end the show on a fun note here. All right. James on Facebook. He's like, I'm ready for the game at noon tomorrow. But getting off topic. Who's watching Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson on Netflix tonight? Here's the thing. I love boxing, and I've adopted UFC because that's actually like cool, and boxing has just killed itself. I'm not buying that this is real. If I knew for sure that these guys wanted to take each other's heads off, I would be all in on this, and I would hope Mike Tyson would take Jake Paul's head off. I don't really even hate Jake Paul. I actually kind of respect what he's doing. He's actually like a legit boxer. He's not like he wouldn't. I don't think he'd beat like a Mike Tyson if Mike Tyson really wanted to fight, even 58-year-old Mike Tyson. But Jake Paul is actually a legit boxer. I don't think this is real. I think they're going to patty cake around, pretend like they're going to throw some big punches. I think they want to get this to a decision so they can do it again and make even more money. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a money grab. I think Jake Paul's making, $40 million. Mike Tyson's like $20 million or something like that. I did see Mike Tyson slap Jake Paul yesterday at the official weigh-in. I think it was all kind of WWE type of drama going on there. I mean, I would love to see Mike Tyson, really rock him with some of those old school Mike Tysons. I mean, he looks good for, a 60-year-old man, but I don't think it's going to be anything. I mean, what's Mike gonna give you? About 5 maybe good rounds or so? I can't see this going the whole distance. It's going to be entertaining though. I'll take a peek at it.
Was it Roy Jones and Tyson that did this a few years ago? And they weren't trying to. Tyson took it easy on him, really. I mean, Roy Jones was a fantastic fighter, but obviously Mike Tyson, different weight class. But they just kind of did that. You can tell they weren't really boxing. So I'm not buying. Now I already have Netflix, so it's not like I have to buy it. So knowing me, I'll probably check it out. I imagine that UCLA Washington thriller tonight's not going to be that good. So anyway, great stuff from JBook. I appreciate it, my man.
All right.
Everybody join me tomorrow for what we learned live right after the game. Thanks to JBook. Thanks to all of you. I appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great day. Enjoy the game tomorrow, Bucknutters. Go Bucks.